Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everyone, wherever you're watching this from, whether it's live or recorded. Thank you very much for coming along. Let us know where you are in the world, where you're tuning in from. We want to make this as interactive as possible. For those of you, if this is your first time joining the stream, this is basically our opportunity to just turn on the camera and share various different things with you. So we're going to cover all sorts. We're going to do a little bit about what's new at Salesbuildr in terms of like news. There's some exciting stuff going on, a couple of product bits, and also we have a special guest today to talk to you, to bring you some extra value beyond what we can do in the Salesbuildr team. Also, we've got some recommended content, some standout content of the week, and of course, the bit you've all been waiting for is the tune of the week. This week's going to be voted for by our special guest. So we'll get to that in a minute. Let me just bring in the Salesbuildr team. How are you doing, guys? We've got Victor and Bram. So Victor, CEO, and Bram, Head of Customer Success. How you doing?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Very well, thank you. Victor, you're on mute. Cardinal Sin, it's your turn this week. There's always going to be someone.
There's always going to be someone. No, pretty stoked after you guys bringing home the
what was
Innovative Vendor of the Year awards. Yes.
Oh, well, steal my thunder, why don't you? Right, that's okay. So the big news of the week is that we were part of. So obviously we're part of the CompTIA UK&I community, and we were at the community event and Spotlight Awards last night, and we are absolutely everyone's on a high in the team because we took away the Innovative Vendor Award, which is a huge deal. So we're up against some really big names, and let me just share. Hopefully you can see that. There's a picture of Head of Marketing, Ryan, and I celebrating. So that's our award. And the judges were basically saying that what they loved most was the fact that our record around customer satisfaction and partner retention was really impressive. And the rate at which we're developing was also something they really liked. So award winners, great to get the first one chalked up. Very happy about that. Victor, I imagine you are too. Is it your baby?
For sure. Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, lots of people putting in sweat and energy and everything done on a daily basis. So this is great that it's being recognized and being seen, and I love the momentum, and I love bringing it together to bigger audience, and this all helps. It's great.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think that's the key, isn't it? Momentum. We've got a feeling of momentum at the moment. There's a great feeling in the certainly in the industry, and that just kind of confirms it. So really, really happy about that. Obviously, it's massively important to us, and maybe less so to you. But hopefully, you can enjoy it with us anyway. So let's talk about what else is new. So we've got some new web content. I'm just going to share my screen for a moment. There you go. So we've got some new content on the site. This is, I'm really glad to see this. This is so a little bit of content around us. One of the features that we don't always lead with when we're talking, when we're doing a sales pitch. It's not always the first one we lead with, but it's such an important one. It's a really, really awesome opportunity for any MSP really to not only reduce the amount of kind of low value, I'll call them low value, but the sort of the sales conversations where really do you need to be in the mix, or could your customer just self-service, and would they prefer to self-service? So this is the customer storefront feature. As you can see here, we've got some content, a video around it. So if you want to have a quick demo, have a look at that. But essentially, it's an add-on which gives you essentially an Amazon style storefront, so you can expose this to your customers on a per customer basis. So you can say, look, I know it's a particular media company. They can only have 3 specs of, high spec laptop, and they need some camera or whatever. And you can specify the add-ons they're allowed to have and so on. So it's a really, really powerful thing. Lets you take sales at any time around the clock. And we've got some content on it now, which is great, as you can see. So check that out on the website. That is new. Victor, you have many conversations around that?
Well, yes, we do. And yesterday I was having a conversation with our upcoming guest in a minute, Alan, about the ICP. And I guess, when you talk about customer storefronts, the customer storefront it's a module, but it's not for everyone, right? So it's not that every customer wants a storefront. Some customers just want to dial and they want somebody to pick up the phone.
Yes.
So I know you, James, and you know me, and I need a new computer. And you say to me, enough said, I get it done.
Yeah.
Some customers prefer
just
that.
like that.
And then just like that. Or I send you an email, do me one extra workplace like before, done. those relationships exist, and I think it's important that they do. But there are some companies which are slightly like mid-size and up, end customers of MSPs that say, look, I have a job to do today, and I'm hiring 5 new employees, and I need to tick this off today. I need 5 new workstations for my 5 new employees. And I want to do it as fast as possible. And because we always do the same workplace bundle, kit, whatever, give me a URL, let me place the order so I'm done. And I don't have to wait for you to reply to my email at your convenience. I want to tick off the box today. For those customers, this is the perfect solution.
Yeah.
Not for everybody. So it's for some of the MSPs to help some of their customers that want this and need this to get the job done.
And where you can, I mean, you can frame it differently, can't you? But I'm certainly talking to some of the MSPs that I work with, they're really keen to, they want to get back to having the sort of the deep conversations around the sort of the business direction with their customers. They don't want to be, I mean, it's the theme obviously of our product, but is reducing the sales admin grind. But all this kind of stuff detracts, especially if you've got a team that's limited on resources, detracts from the ability to have those conversations and concentrate on more strategic chat. So I think that's where it ties in really nicely.
And I think another thing to be said about the storefront is that it requires you to put some thought into your portfolio, and because it works for standardized products and services, not for custom ones, but for standardized ones. So if you have those, if you don't have those, it makes sense to think about adding those to your portfolio because it enables you to scale.
Yeah, rather than just go, here's everything.
Yeah. I'll just tell me what you need and I'll fix it for you. That's going to get you stuck if you grow. But you're the curator, you're the expert. You help your customer get from A to B with the best solutions and you put the effort and work in that. You describe that in your product descriptions and service descriptions. You put that into your storefront in your master agreement and your SLAs, and then it's smooth sailing from there. But it will take some careful reflection and pre-work.
Yes,
to getting that foundation up and running. Yeah,
definitely. It's not a small job, is it, to work out, just try and streamline your portfolio after years of having it in a state where maybe you've sold stuff from here, there, and everywhere, but it's well worth investing the time in that. Excellent. Right, so we've done a product stuff. We don't want to make this all about pushing Salesbuildr at you, but I think it's really important just to highlight the sort of the new content there. You can go and have a look at it at your own leisure. That's fine. In terms of other new content, so there's lots on the way. We've got plenty in the pipeline. If you go to the YouTube, you're on the YouTube channel. If you go to the videos section, you'll see basically there's new interviews there. We've got a really good one with a company called Nostra, based over in Ireland. They're interesting. They're about 350 staff, I believe, and it's a sales team of 30. So not typically maybe the same profile as all of our customers, but they really are seeing massive gains in terms of reducing that sort of sales admin overload. So we've just done a really nice little video with them from DatoCon. So go and check that one out. I've got a little snippet here I'm going to play just to give you a little teaser. You can watch the rest of it at your own leisure.
Quite admin heavy and quite a lot of margin of error. When we price an item, we will search across multiple disties. So we'll use some online tools to try help us, but we can't search every distie with that tool. We're logging into different portals, we're checking price files. We could check 10, 15 places for the price for one item to make sure we're getting the best price or the best ETA.
Wow, so you got the best price, but you've probably lost it in terms of the profit.
Exactly.
You've lost in time finding the right products.
Best for the business, best for the client, but we're drowned in admin and searching. So with Salesbuildr, the fact that plugs directly into our disties, it can manage price files. We have a single place to look. This item, this price, this availability, quote it. It's done in seconds, so it's much quicker.
Excellent. Hopefully there's a bit of a snippet. If you watch it on YouTube, all the audio's cleaned up. Doesn't sound like you're in the middle of a party, so it's slightly better. That was taken from the raw footage. Okay, so I think we'll move on then, unless there's any other mentions you want to get you guys on that stuff. Anyone got any? No, we're good. Brilliant. Right, so it's time for our headline feature. Okay, so I'm really pleased to welcome in our special guest. Did you like that? Was that impactful enough?
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Oh, Bram, just wait for yours.
I'm already excited.
Right, let me bring in. So straight away, I'll bring in Alan Edwards. Alan's from Eureka Process. Alan, how are you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
Excellent. Very well, thank you. Perhaps you could perhaps share with people exactly what your business is all about. A published author, entrepreneur, owner of multiple businesses. You wear so many hats. I'm going to let you do the job of just explaining who you are and how you're working with us as well. In what capacity?
Sure. I'm a masochist. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I do work on several things, but my pride and joy is Gozynta's Eureka process. I started that about 6 years ago. And essentially, we help IT service providers be better business owners. Our goal is to make the whole organism work and grow and be a healthy, thriving thing. That's the short version. And since our acquisition by Gozynta last year, we've also been working with many of our vendors, which is much how we became to be partners with Gozynta and helping them create white glove onboarding programs. And that's actually how we started working with Salesbuildr. We loved your product. You already had a great process in place. We were so happy to step in and help you guys refine that process and scale and give customers a consultative approach to a product instead of here's how the product is set up. Instead, we can help you with here are some best practices on how to be a better sales organization, how to run a better MSP while getting your product set up.
Yeah, and it's so important to align those things, isn't it? So generally, I mean, when you're helping businesses, whether it's with or without necessarily Salesbuildr, you're talking about process improvement, and that's an area where what are the main challenges around MSPs adopting a sort of process-based approach, would you say? What's the sort of resistance there?
Challenges, so many. I think the first challenge is that many of us grew up in the earlier IT industry where we were firefighters, right? And it feels so good to have an emergency, to have that adrenaline rush, and then the pride in solving the problem, the client's happy. And that's a great feeling to have. But as we try to scale our businesses and as we enter this new, more competitive market with more MSPs, more mature, we really have to be proactive, which doesn't always feel as good. And that's where processes come in. Fun story. I recently took a personality profile and I had a professional analyze it. And it came back with the shocking revelation that, Alan, you're terrible at process.
Okay. Well, we'll draw a line under it there, shall we?
And the funny thing is, I actually agree, because as a personality type, I do hate stopping the right process, but I've seen process work so well in every freaking case that I value what process brings. Therefore, I force myself to spend time on it.
So what first got you into that frame of mind then? When did you first realize, have the light bulb moment that, okay, right, that's provided me so much benefit, I can't ignore it?
It was sort of during my first MSP. I mean, everybody knows that you become a consultant because you make enough mistakes that you get smart enough. And in my first MSP, at some point, I was processed for 50 people, even though we were at 6. And the good news was I would take off a month at a time, go on vacation with my family, and the business would keep running. The bad news was I was so processed, I wasn't making a lot of money doing that, but I could. And I just always had this desire. It might have been something my dad stuck in my head. He said, son, you have to work hard to be lazy. And to me, that's what process is. You do the hard work so that you don't have to work as hard. And I've always liked that future-minded way of doing things. And my Eureka moment was after doing that for my business, doing it for the business that bought me. I worked for one more MSP as an employee, as their service manager. And then I went on a sabbatical. We'll talk about one time. And I picked up a client that was what was going to become my Eureka process client. And I was like, wait a minute. This is the 4th time I've given the same advice, done the same thing to solve the same problems. And that's when I productized it and coined Eureka process.
Excellent. I love that. I love that. Alan, I'm going to pause there for a second. Say hello to everyone. We've got quite a few people tuned in to listen to you, so that's fantastic. So a quick shout out to Aidan Castley. Aidan, how you doing? Great. So tuning in from Temple Bar. That was the last place we saw him at DataCon. So hey, and Glenn from Florida. Glenn, yeah, we've seen you around the place. And Michael Forte, welcome along. And we've got Eureka in the place as well. So that's fantastic. Don't forget, get your questions in if you've got any for Alan. Alan, can I pivot you slightly just to so if an MSP is watching this and they're thinking, you know what, really, this is something I've been putting off for a while. I know I need to get my processes in order. Can you give some sort of quick tips, or perhaps an idea of how you sort of start getting back on track and some of the things that you start with? I know it's a very long process, but some of it's covered in your book, I think.
Yeah, it's I mean, the premise is simplify, simplify, simplify. So many of us like to procrastinate, and I heard a great story about procrastination. And what's happening is we're envisioning the entire project, we're envisioning the results, and therefore we fear to start. And instead, we need to revel in the action instead of the result. And so, getting started is the hardest part. So for me, the first step is, I call it the process, which is far better than procedure when I first coined it.
Okay.
You need to write the blueprint for your process system, but people see that as this big thing. Oh, I have all these types of documents, all this. Look, we have a template for you. Copy and paste it and use it. There are no wrong decisions as long as they are decisions and they're written down.
Are these which particular areas would you start in, though? I mean, because obviously it's
well, no, the process is the blueprint for your
it's just across the whole thing
platform.
Okay.
You have to decide who's in charge of documentation. You have to decide what is your documentation platform. Is it SharePoint? Is it your Google Drive? Is it IT Glue, Hoodoo, Confluence? I don't think there are bad choices. You just have to choose. So many people delay because they complicate it and they go, oh, what about this thing? What about this thing? Don't worry about the exceptions. Just get started. It's so much easier to refine something than it is to create something. And
you see the real sort of tangible benefits there. Because I know, I mean, this, to me, I'm not a big fan of processes either, but probably similar to yourself. It's hard to take time out of your business to do this stuff. I need a really good, solid incentive that would make me want to go, right, okay, I'm actually going to have to do this now. So where are the biggest gains, do you think? Is it freeing up time in a particular area of the business? Or, I mean, the idea sounds great, I'm sure, to most people, but
there are several tangible gains. But let me, I will start. I love telling stories. When I first started Eureka process, what's the first process I ended up writing for my business? And it wasn't the process. Maybe it should have been, but it was just me at the time. I wrote how to invoice because it took 6 screens to invoice out of ConnectWise using Mobius Gozynta to connect to QuickBooks Online. And I would fumble through it every month to get my invoicing done. So I wrote it into a process. The next time I wrote the bullet points as I was doing it. The second time I tried to follow my bullet points, I corrected wasn't quite right. Suddenly, what was an hour every month for invoicing became 5 minutes because I had 0 misclicks. Everything was set up. I would just follow the bullet point, click here, click there. So even as a one-man show, a process directly gave me back 50 minutes a month. And it only took me an extra, and it only took me an extra 15 minutes each of those times that I was writing the process just to document what I was doing as I was doing it. So that had an immediate ROI for small wins for smaller companies. And then you go on to the slightly larger companies, let's say even 5 people or above. When you write a process that's 5 people or more that can follow that process without you. And that's when you start to get that scale, that immediate payback in labor times the number of people who are saving that labor. And then, of course, you have the ultimate one is that the better your process book, your procedure manual, you start creating a valuable business that has worth when selling, exiting, giving to employees, whatever that case is.
That's really amazing. That's a big factor, isn't it? When it's having a standard operating procedures in place for anyone looking to acquire. I guess mainly because it helps you scale. I guess it helps everything if you're looking to bring on new employees.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Very good. Okay, so listen, we're going to be running a webinar together because it's such a broad area, such a large area. So we've got a webinar coming up. So it's going to be on Tuesday, the 16th of July. So if you head over to the live tab on our YouTube channel, you can click a notification button and it'll remind you there. So in fact, what I'll do is I'll share my screen a second. And let's go to Salesbuildr TV. Okay, so you can see on our live tab. So this is us. So building processes for a future-proof MSP. I've got a, oh, hang on a second. I've got a lowdown here somewhere that's not showing me it. So YouTube have got a new, have you noticed this? They've got a new layout now. So it's switched all the description over to the right-hand side. Throws me every time. Okay. So in some of it, so we've got it's the danger of just going purely reactive. Is one of the areas we're going to cover.
Yeah, reactive's addictive.
yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Power of proactive documentation, so how to go about creating clear, concise instructions. Practical strategies around. Okay, so we've got specifically password management, onboarding, the service delivery elements. A collaborative process, so making sure the whole company's bought in. I'm guessing.
Yep, that's an important piece.
Mm-hmm. Automation techniques and essential tools. So come along for that. Obviously, it's a deep dive. It'll be about 60 minutes long. That's about right, isn't it, Alan?
I can go on forever, so you tell me when to cut off.
Okay, we'll call it 60 minutes. But yeah, we'd love you to join us for that anyway. Any areas of that you think you'll be particularly interested in? Anything you want to touch on there, Alan?
I know one of the things that I try to do for our unique differentiator is we try to give actionable advice. So specific templates, specific things. Go do this.
Brilliant. That's what we need. I love that stuff. It's got to be that on this channel.
Yeah, not just you should have process. It's good.
Yes.
So I definitely hope in that format we'll be able to cover more of those specific pieces of advice to take action today.
Excellent. I think that's going to be a great session. So make sure you sign up for that. And obviously, if you can't make it, that's fine. You can watch that straight away on the channel anytime. That's kind of how it works. So I was going to bring the other guys in. So Alan, do you want to let us know a little bit about your community? So you've got you wear a few hats, don't you? So you've got you did a webinar yesterday with Victor so that's the IT documentation user group. Do you want to let us know a little bit about that? To have a shameless plug.
I love shameless plugs. And it's a community. It's not me. Yeah, we admin a group called IT Doug, IT Documentation Users Group. It's really just around documentation. I never intended to be like the documentation expert, but it was definitely an area where no one else was serving, and a lot of MSPs were struggling with, how do I create process? How do I wrangle these things up in place? So we have a 5,000 plus user group on Facebook. We're also creating that same content on Reddit.
That's amazing. So 5,000 people. Yeah. How long did it take to grow that?
5 years.
Right. Incredible.
I remember being excited when we broke 100. So
yeah.
Feels like yesterday. And we do have the same content on Reddit as well, also under the subreddit of IT Doug, ITDUG.
Okay. Excellent. Do you want to touch on briefly? So you guys had this webinar yesterday. I caught part of it, and I thought it was really nice because it was an open conversation, very unlike a lot of the webinars that I'd seen. It was a live stream anyway, wasn't it? Really, touching on some really interesting stuff around ICP. You guys want to pull out any parts of that would be interesting? I'll share it on the screen so people can see that it's over on our YouTube channel.
We could have Victor school us on the ICP. That was my. I had so many favorite parts of that talk yesterday, but definitely talk about that ICP, the ideal client profile. We were talking about general versus specific.
Yes. Yes.
I want to give Victor a chance to talk here, so it's not the Alan show.
No, I think the ICP, the concept of the ICP, and I think it's universal for every company. It's important for us as Salesbuildr, but it's important for any MSP. And I think the better you are at defining your ICP, the better your ICP will see you stand out from the crowd. Yeah. And the more specific you can be, the more you resonate. We talked about being a beacon yesterday, right? A beacon for your target audience. So if I'm an MSP, I'm going to be the best MSP for dentists in the Netherlands. I can do everything. I can start a podcast for technology for dentists. I can revamp my website. I can adopt the colors and branding and language and logos that dentists like and love and recognize. So I can jump under the, in their life and in their world and be everywhere that they are. I can jump into and appear on their conferences and their magazines and the stuff they listen to and they watch to. So the better you are at narrowing down your ICP, the more you will be seen by that audience.
So
I think
let's do our science experiment. I don't know if James saw this part of the science experiment.
I did. I was just going to ask you to do it. Go on.
Did Bram see it? Let's pick on Bram.
I didn't see it. No.
All right.
Yeah,
So
let's pick Bram.
We're going to do a science experiment regarding ICP. Bram, I would like you to pick a name of somebody you know in North America.
Okay. Yeah.
Go ahead. Tell me the name.
Allison.
Allison. All right. It took you about 5 seconds to say, okay, all right. Like you had it in your head, right? Now, I would like you to tell me the name of the founder of your company.
Victor.
All right. The more specific I got, the more quickly you came up with a name. And the more general
I was mostly under stress because he's right there. So
yeah, it probably slowed you down, right? But I think that's the easy lesson for ICPs. I think I actually stole that from a BNI networking group during a referral strategy. When you're asking for a referral, the more specific you are, the more likely you are to get an actual referral versus like, hey, refer me anybody you know who can fog a mirror. It's hard to come up with somebody when it's like, hey, refer me dentist in the Netherlands. Like, oh, I go to a dentist. Let me give you his name. It's a lot easier to pick. And that's one of those beacon moments that Victor was talking about. It's like, oh, this is me. This is you.
Yeah. And you can pick. Sometimes people only think you should pick a vertical, right? Like a vertical as in dentists or finance or whatever. But you can also do cross sections. So you can pick a vertical and a horizontal and a company size. So you can pick financial companies in Amsterdam between 50 and 100 employees that use HubSpot.
Right.
Very specific.
And for horizontals, I mean, companies like Salesbuildr and like Gozynta Eureka process, we have horizontals. We serve only IT service firms. Therefore, all of our content is geared specifically to IT service firms, and it's a lot easier for them to find us. Somebody gave me another recent example. We're consultants. If we consulted every business out there, we'd be competing with, the big 3 consulting firms. And why would anybody choose us besides maybe affordability over those big 3 consulting firms? But when you compare one of the big 3 to somebody who specializes in IT firms and you're an IT business, you are more likely to go, I'd rather choose somebody with a specific IT experience. That makes us more advantageous in these consulting firms who've been out there for 100 years. So definitely find your ICP and make it specific.
Yeah, it's so powerful, isn't it? If I think of some of the best performing MSPs that I've worked with, certainly they're the ones that are really kind of they've used that and then really niche down, and then maybe they service 1 or 2 markets. So it applies in so many areas of business, doesn't it? But particularly,
I think one of the biggest
to the MSP
objections space I get, just to reframe the same information, the biggest objection I get from MSPs creating an ICP is, but I want all the revenue.
Yes,
I want it from everybody. So I'll meet you halfway, right? You can take on other clients that aren't your ideal client, but I would not position yourself, put in your marketing materials, put in your sales call, all those other things. Keep that focus, keep that beacon lit. So you don't have to exclude. You might find benefit in it at some point in your maturity level, but you don't have to exclude them if that helps you stop and design your ICP.
Yeah, that's a great point. And so the ICP also serves in the sales cycle to qualify in or qualify out.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's just as important to qualify out than it's important to qualify in.
Especially as your pipeline gets fuller, you have less time and resources, and you want to focus on the ones that are more likely to succeed.
Yeah. And talking about documentation, that's where keeping track of what you're doing over time will bring value, because if you don't track opportunity sources, categories, and notes in a structured way, you can't look back and learn from that data and then say, I'm going to qualify this one out because we tried it 3 times and we failed 3 times. This is just not going to be a great fit.
Which is fine while you've got momentum, but then when the momentum's not there and everyone's looking around and going, why isn't this working? You can't reverse engineer that really fast.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, the whole peaks and valleys syndrome, especially in the smaller businesses, you get so busy, that peak of business that you stop your marketing or don't do it as much in your sales processes. And then suddenly you're less busy again, like, oh, I need to make sales, but it's too late. Your pipeline's dry.
Just do something fast and probably make a bad decision. Excellent.
Yeah, and a bad decision can be very costly. Yeah,
absolutely.
Down the line.
It happens to me sometimes. So just get caught up. Important note, Victor, you were talking about measurements, recording your sales process, understanding your conversion rate, which are great. I would even love to compare conversion rates to when you really go back and evaluate % of these prospects were our ICP. And what was the conversion rate in your ICP versus your non-ICP market? That'd be fun data. But one of the things I love talking about with KPIs and metrics is a KPI or a metric can only measure adherence to process. Right? If you don't have a process, if you don't follow a process, what can it possibly measure? If you're in your sales system and you're not following the process of moving your leads over in your CRM, or in Salesbuildr. If you're trying to measure even ticket resolution time and you're not following a process of moving tickets from status to status and recording time.
Because there's no consistency, you mean? Because you haven't got that stable foundation.
You have nothing to measure.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
So a lot of times in my early maturity clients, once we're able to measure things, the next thing we do is we use KPIs and metrics to measure adherence to process. Like, oh, this didn't happen. Oh, I see this exception here. We should go fix that. And then you finally rise to the level of KPIs and metrics measuring the result of the process that you want. Like, what are my conversion rates? How many more leads do I need to make our goal this quarter? Yeah.
It's so important to measure that along the way, isn't it? Rather than just all at the end. It's kind of, yeah. All right, listen, well, we're giving away far too much knowledge before our webinar. I think we're going to have to pause it there. On that knowledge bomb, we've got a special feature, haven't we, Alan? So this week, you are our tune of the week. Yeah. So Bram's not experienced this yet. So basically, you're probably next week, Bram. So basically, you have to bring a tune that's significant to you. So you've done that, Alan. What is yours?
IT is for Rock Stars by Wally Dogger.
Should we have a listen?
Sure.
IT is for rock stars. I only own 3 dress shirts. You got a doctorate, but I can use bigger words like this. And you just shake your head, 'cause I know you're impressed with me. I work in IT.
Wow, that was, I've got headphones on. That's taking the edge off my hearing. Alan, what was the significance of that tune?
Well, first off, I haven't seen that video. I just listened to them on Spotify, so that was kind of cool to see. So, so much around this. One, I discovered that band because the service manager at one of my clients is in that band. And we got to talking about it, and I listened. I was like, this is kind of my genre. I like this type of music. And then I've listened to all of their songs ever since. There's probably 8 albums out there. I don't know that they're active together anymore, but some of the same members have some other projects which I also like.
Wally Dogger, is that it?
Yeah, Wally Dogger, and it's
yeah.
I think Junior Varsity Senior is the newer band that's got some of the same pieces in there. One, it's an IT song.
That's brilliant. I mean, the fact that you found that, you totally outdid my last week's one, which was just a random rave tune.
It's an IT based song, and it rocks. And I smile while listening to it. My wife can't stand it, so I play it all the time.
Excellent. It's
and
good.
She's a musician.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, when I say she can't stand it, she loves the skill and the talent in there. It's just not her genre.
Yeah, that's fair enough. It's not really mine, but I've got to say it was good. It was good. Good bit of energy to it.
And the rest of the song kind of compares his skills to the skills of is it a doctor? It's good stuff.
Excellent.
It's cheeky. I like it.
It is. Thank you for that. We're going to. I think what we're going to do is put this on the Spotify playlist, so we actually have a playlist of every week's tunes, and then we can
cool.
we can have that. That can be our Salesbuildr playlist. Alan, I'm going to let you go. We're going to move into the next segment, if that's okay. But thank you so much for joining us, and don't forget. So it's going to be Tuesday the 16th for Alan's webinar. I'll pop a link in a second in the comments so you can see that, or just head on over to the live tab in YouTube and you can see it.
I will also try not to forget, and I'll see you then.
Please do that. Yeah, it's going to be awkward otherwise. Excellent. All right. Take care. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Alan. See ya.
Thank you, Alan. Have a good one.
No worries.
Okay, so we've got a special moment then. Bram, you had a couple of weeks off.
Absolutely.
But you know what it's time for?
I'm all ready. That is amazing, James. That intro, I love that. I don't even know if a couple of the people on the call actually know why there's a military tune on the background. I might give that a little bit of an explanation before I dive into my top tip of this week. I'm a Army Reserve, so next to this job, I also am in the reserves of the Dutch Army. Practice and do things on that matter. So I'm guessing that is why James put in that tune, or it's going to be a hell of a coincidence. So my top tip this week has to do. We're a little bit late for it, especially here. It's enormously warm, so we're a little bit late for it. But it's about spring cleaning. So this is something that I definitely do myself every almost season-ish. So after every season, I kind of look in the house. I have a very small house, so it's needed to look at all the stuff that I still need, and then to throw everything out that I don't need anymore, or donate it if it still has any worth. And no worries, I'm not gonna talk this entire segment about my house, but this also applies to your environment within Salesbuildr. So I've seen a lot of customers that have thousands and thousands of products within their portfolio. And then once I actually talk to them, they actually only sell about, under 1,000 of products at least, sometimes even in the hundreds. And the rest of it is all legacy, or things that they don't need anymore. But at the end of the day, they do live in your head rent-free and on your portal rent-free, and a lot of the times they're in the way. So what I suggest is that every now and then build a cadence, like something that happens every half year, every quarter, every year, depending on how quickly your product list actually fills up, to really look at your product section again and see, do we actually still sell this? Do we actually still offer this to our customers? And stuff like that. We actually have within the portal, we have a couple of filters that really help with that. So if you were to go to your product portfolio and you look at all the filters, then you can, for instance, look at everything that has not been sold in the last year or in the last quarter, and then just instantly get rid of that. Also, don't worry on that front. If you end up unlisting something that you actually still mean to use at a later point, it's very easy to do them back. So I would say don't overthink that part. But there's also connections to your distributors, and you can actually see which of your products are just end of life. And if they're end of life, there's a high chance, unless they're in storage in your own warehouse, that you're not going to buy them anymore and sell them to your clients anymore. So it's filters like that that will help you a lot with actually doing some spring cleaning within your product portfolio and making sure that that list is up to date and that you can still, well, sell what it is that you actually sell. Yeah, so that's my top tip of the week.
Amazing as always. Thank you very much, Bram. I think that ties into everything we're trying to do, is to sort of clear any time wasted on managing additional products that aren't being used. That's going to take time to manage, to think through every time you want to create a quote. So no, that's a really good one. Thank you very much for that.
Absolutely.
I hope you enjoyed the little intro. I thought that's
yeah, I loved it.
Particularly appropriate. Did you want to have a dive into that at all, Victor? I saw you popped up the screen share. Did you want to have a quick look at that? Was that deliberate or
kind of deliberate, but not about? Putting it in the I was preparing it for the next section, talking about a new feature, but I managed to self-correct.
Okay, that's fine. No worries. Okay, cool. Bram, thank you very much for that. So, well, in that case, let's do that. Let's have a quick look at some. So what's new in the product, which we skipped over quite quickly at the beginning. Over to you, Victor.
So I'm going to add it to the stage then, man. Boom. There we go. So what's new? So we added I'm going to show two things, right? One is a white space filter. So jumping back into the product. So here's the white space, which shows you all your customers and which customer bought which service across all my service categories. So we have a filter on. We had a filter here. This shows you all the customers that bought services that I'm grouped under Microsoft 365, right? So if I hit this, it shows me all the customers that bought services that I've grouped under Microsoft 365. Now, what do we add? So customers told us, okay, I want to be able to reverse this search. So I want to be able to clear the filters. Boom. It's a development environment, so there you go. Now, you can do it the other way around. So show me all customers that have no Microsoft 365. So it's either show me all customers that have services within this category, or show me all customers that do not yet have services inside this category. And for example, if I want to say, I want to show me voice over IP, all the customers that do not have any voice over IP, and then I can do, I have this managed voice service, and then it shows me, okay, 2 customers. I can now create a opportunity and proposal for my managed voice solution. Click create, and the opportunity and the proposal is now finished. So that's one powerful new filter within that white space to just help you get from A to B a lot faster. The other one is you have the opportunity to send emails based on templates to customers. And what you can do is you can use filters, right? So on the context tab, you can use, I want to see all the customers that are labeled with sales, and customer classification from auto task in this case is going to be red. It will show me the contact, and I can select one or more contacts, and I can then send them an email, for example, to inform them about our new Microsoft 365 Copilot service. I can now send that email, which is basically a simple, basic marketing campaign for one of my services. Now, what you want to be able to do is go into that contact, click messages. So this is new. So it will show you if the message is delivered, how many times have been opened, and if the link is clicked, yes or no.
Wow, I didn't know this existed. That's great to see. This moves
Yeah.
on fast. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, this is great because this is like from a marketing automation standpoint, you want to visually establish, hey, is it delivered? Is it opened? Is it clicked?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you're developing that business with your customers, with your contacts, you need that information. So the information is now inside Salesbuildr, and you can see, like, if they open it 10 times, there's some interest there. If they click a link 5 times, now maybe it's time to call and have that conversation, and then create that opportunity.
When's that functionality live? Did that go live already?
I think it's live already. Yeah. Let me check. Double check. Contacts. Yeah. So we're live.
Yeah.
So
fantastic.
what we do is we on the back end we use SendGrid, Twilio SendGrid, which is a major email on marketing automation platform. We integrate with that, so we pull the API for the messages sent and all the metrics around those messages.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
very good. That's a nice addition.
One.
So whether you use it with I mean, some people will be using like a marketing automation platform, and some won't. But that's almost like different things. You've got like a lightweight version here, which just for personal account manager communication. That's really adding an extra.
That's it. I mean, some will use like a market automation platform like HubSpot, but in many cases we've seen HubSpot implementations, and the MSP is actually only using 5 to 10% of what it can do.
Yeah.
Right. So the 5 to 10% is what we're building into Salesbuildr. Get the basics down to be able to do the job.
Love it. Very good. So we expect some more noise about that then, definitely. That's just sneaked its way in like so many other killer features. All right. So I think that brings us to the end of our session. There's nothing else to cover, but thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Has anyone got any questions before we sign off? Feel free to chime in there. Thank you very much for your time, as always. I know it's a big ask for you to take time out of your day. And if you're watching this on record, yes, that's fine. What's that? Sorry. John. Okay, got it.
Are there going to be options to sort those email messages based on things such as email address, template, date, and such? Yes, John. As always, we push the features, and then we're waiting for great customers like you to give us feedback, and that's fuel for our next sprints. So these are logical next steps to make it more powerful, sorting, filtering, linking to the message, etc. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that, John. I mean, obviously you'll make a note of that anyway, Victor, but it's worth noting that we do have like an ideas board, don't we, for any suggestions on feature requests. You can, if you've got a link to that, we can just share. Julian, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it. Good to have you aboard. Please come back next week and make sure you join us for the webinar on the 16th, if that's of interest to you. Have you got a link to, oh, you've done that? I feel like you're one step ahead. No, you just got Google. That's our advice to you.
Hold on. Feature upvote. There we go.
There we go.
So it's Salesbuildr. Well, if you go to the knowledge base, so here's the knowledge base in Salesbuildr. And on the top here is the link to the feature request board. That will take you to all the feature requests, and you can upvote any feature request that you like. You can add a comment, or you can just add your own. And every time we ship a new release, we include a link to this feature request board and request customers to say, hey, look, if there's something that you think is important for your business, give it an upvote. And we will look into this. And if it's relevant for more customers than one, but a group, and it's meaningful, we will add it to the backlog.
And obviously no promises, but we do work on like a 2-week sprint system. So, things that are important do tend to happen fast if it's realistic. So definitely well worth putting your ideas in there. All right. I think we'll draw close to it. Thank you very much, chaps, for joining us. Thank you everyone for watching, and we'll leave it there, and we'll see you again next week. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day. Bye.
Cheers.